See everybody, folks. How you all doing? Lucinda, KZ, Jeannie, Margaret, Ellen, Carol, Kay, Joyce, Consuelo, Hans, Sheila, Krista, Brenda, Mike, Katie, Drawing Tours. I love that. Carol, Kate Mila Falcha, Carol, Angie, and Lisa. Welcome, everybody, folks. Good to see you all. I'm outside here. This is Christchurch Cathedral. It's not part of the tour today, but you may have seen this. It's part of my ancient Dublin tour. This is actually the oldest working building in all of Dublin. It's a really spectacular building. It was an original building here, built by the Vikings in the year 1028. This one was built in stone by the Normans who defeated the Vikings in around 1169, 1170, and was built in the English Gothic style, if you like. So there you go. Hope everybody's well, folks. We've got a little under 3 minutes before we start our tour of Dublin Castle. This is Castle Street, so it runs adjacent to Dublin Castle, where we'll begin our tour. We're going to take you all around Dublin Castle today, folks. We won't be going inside any of the buildings. It's that time when it's closing up. As regards, it's nearly 5 p.m. Coming to Dublin in May, says Angie. Would love to get a tour with you if possible. Angie, I'm glad you mentioned that. There's lots of people coming from Hago this summer. Here is my credentials. Here is my information. Take a postcard photograph of it. Dublin Rogues Tour, Dave Kavanagh, info@roguestour.ie, dublinroguestour.com. Or you can always just send me an email and let me know what you would like, because I do different type of tours. I do a tour, 3 or 4 hour tour around Dublin City, showing you all the great landmarks, telling you the history about all the different places. And then I also do my Dublin Rogues Tour, which is more on riders and politicians, freedom fighters, which takes place in Merrion Square Park here in Dublin, in a beautiful setting. It starts at the Oscar Wilde Monument in Dublin. So, Edith, how are you? Good to see you. Linda, Donna, Jane, Tammy, welcome everybody. Donna from Philly, the city of brotherly love, Philly. Flo, hi Flo. BC, B. Hayward, how are you from Key West? Gerald. Okay, so Angie, look me up. You're coming in May. There's some other people coming in May as well from Hago. I know Patty's coming in June, and Trish, I think, it's coming in August. But there's a bunch of other people coming too. So we're on the countdown, folks. We're going to be starting our tour in just a bit. We're going to bring you into the beautiful Dublin Castle here. And Dublin Castle, it dates back to 1204. It was established by King John of England and was the seat of British government in Ireland for over 700 years. I'll tell you that story when we start the tour. I'm coming in May also, Lisa. Lisa, did you get my card there? Lisa's coming as well. Get excited. Loads of people are coming. Poppy, good to see you. Caroline, Barbara. So it's great to see everybody coming. How's the sound, folks? And can you see everything correctly? If everything's good, if the vision's good. Used to be the Thai city of motherly love. Okay, it's all good. That's great. That's fantastic. Brilliant. So we've come to the start of our tour. Welcome everybody here to Dublin. We are on Castle Street right here, and we're about to go into the beautiful Dublin Castle. We're going to show you around. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. What you're looking at straight ahead of you here is City Hall here in Dublin. It was built between 1765 and 1775. There's some absolutely beautiful works of art in here. Priceless pieces as well. A lot of wedding venues take place here as well. So it's a big wedding venue. And it is a beautiful building inside. As I say, it dates back to 1775. It took 10 years to build, 1765 to 1775. But as I say, we're going to make our way, folks, into Dublin Castle right here. Many entrances, like 4 entrances into it. This is one of them right here. And just to give you a look here at Dublin Castle, so here's the map of Dublin Castle. Maybe I can zoom in for you, give you a clearer look. And it shows you all the different spots within the castle. If you do ever come to Linda, welcome. Kathy, good to see you. So if you ever do come to to Dublin, this is a must-see. Dublin Castle really is terrific. It's a beautiful spot, and there's some great buildings in it, and there's some great stories associated with Dublin Castle. As I said before, it was first established in 1204. So let's make our way into the courtyard here at Dublin Castle, and we'll tell you a little more. So Dublin Castle, it's 44,000 square metres all told. And Dublin Castle was founded in 1204 as a defence of the city by King John of England. And it was built with strong walls and good ditches to protect the king's jewels and treasure. Now, Dublin Castle was the seat, as I say, of British rule in Ireland for over 700 years, from 1204 until Ireland got its independence in 1922, so 100 years ago last year, which is quite incredible that we're only 100 years independent here in Ireland. And there's a security guy over there in the entrance into the state apartments. The last time I was here, there was a security guy tried to stop me from live streaming. This is a public area. They should not have the right to stop me, even though I've done it many times here before. Now, the Dublin Castle was run by a Lord Lieutenant, or Viceroy of Ireland, who was known as the representative of the King or the Queen. And all the way from 1204 to 1922, there would have been a Viceroy or a Lord Lieutenant. But let's just show you some of these beautiful buildings that we have within the courtyard here of what's known as the State Apartments. Here is one of them. This is a Bedford Tower. This is a beautiful tower right here. And this is obviously in the upper courtyard of the castle, named after John Russell IV, Duke of Bedford. He was the Viceroy or Lord Lieutenant of Ireland between 1757 and 1761. And as the wind gets up, and the tower was built in 1761. And it was at this location in 1907 that the Irish crown jewels were stolen from this building. And it was suspected that Sir Arthur Vickers, the officer of arms, was culpable for his drunken carelessness, and these precious jewels were never recovered to this very day. The Bedford Tower, or Bedford Hall, is now part of a conference centre. Now, others say that. Others have said that Vickers, the officer of arms that had an office within this building, they say that he was a homosexual and had affairs with prominent married men. So he was never investigated, because some of these men were powerful men, British and Irish men, that would have been closet homosexuals, if you like. Homosexuality would have been completely frowned upon and illegal at the time. And as I say, it's because of this that he was never investigated. And as I say, the crown jewels that were stolen here in 1907 have never been recovered. So if you have them at home in your attic or in your basement, Dublin Castle wants to know. You never know where they might have ended up, folks. Maybe your great-grandfather was here at one time and he hauled them back to America or Canada or somewhere like that. You never know, folks. You never know. Now, there's some lovely other buildings right here and so forth. Thanks very much, Hans. Really appreciate it. So you got this lovely statues here. This one is Justice. This statue is of Lutetia, the Roman goddess. Could everybody see it properly? Yeah. The Roman goddess of justice. She's holding the symbol of justice, the sword, indicating the power of the courts and the scales to weigh up the evidence. She is cast in lead, but painted to look like stone. Now, this statue was restored in 1986, and it was discovered that the statue had 30 layers of paint, and it was split in two when it was being removed. Now, the statue faces, if you look, it's facing the courtyard here at the castle, and rather than the city of Dublin, provoking the rhyme of a Dublin wag. A Dublin wag, like, is an old woman that is full of charm, if you like, or antidotes or whatever, saying that there she sits upon her station, her face to the castle and her arse to the nation. She gives hope. Over here, as I say, there's two statues between the Bedford Tower, or either side, I should say, of the Bedford Tower. This one is Fortitude. And both of these sculptures I'm showing you now were established in 1750. Now, this was sculpted by John van Nosht in 1750, the statue of fortitude, which is the symbol of strength. And he is seen here in his classical style with his Galea, Roman soldier's helmet. He's wearing a cloak and a suit of Roman armour, and his right hand holds a spear, symbol of power. And he has a lion beside him, symbolising courage. Just zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. And these are both entrances in here. Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate it. Giggle, chuckle, snort. Don't snort. It's very rude, Shelly. I'm only messing with you. Now, these are the state apartments. Have a look at these beautiful red brick buildings here. They're Victorian buildings. Well, actually, they were actually built before the Victorian period, so they'd be Georgian buildings. Now, these state apartments, they were established first in 1680, but they weren't completed until the 1750s. Thank you, Lisa. And they're absolutely gorgeous rooms in here. There is 64 furnished rooms in all in this beautiful... now, they're full of beautiful paintings and exclusive furniture and what have you. It is absolutely. I'm going to show you some pictures here in a minute, some photos of here. But it's basically a Georgian palace, is what this is, folks. And it's the site of the inauguration of every Irish president, and the ceremony takes place every 7 years. Here in St. Patrick's Hall, the largest room in the state apartments. As I say, there's 64 luxurious rooms. So let me just show you St. Patrick's Hall, which is probably the most famous one. As I tried to show you, and it went array on me there. Let me see. Where is St. Patrick's Hall? That's St. Patrick's Hall right there. Now, as I say, there's some absolutely gorgeous rooms within this state apartments. If you ever do come to this area, this is a must while you're on your travels. Now, it's also it's where the state dinners take place here as well. So it really is spectacular. And there's been many, many dignitaries throughout the world that have visited to here for state dinners. As I show you some more, here's a staircase. There's the staircase from an angle I showed you from straight ahead. If I can get it here, where is it? There you go. Yeah, there's absolutely some beautiful places to see within this one building. It's gorgeous. I might be repeating some of these ones because I forgot what I showed you. It's terrible, isn't it? There you go. So the state apartments inside 64 luxurious rooms, and St. Patrick's Hall is also where all state dinners take place, including the visits of Princess Grace of Monaco in 1961, followed by JFK, John F. Kennedy, in June 1963, just 5 months before his assassination in Dallas, Texas. And then Queen Elizabeth II was here in 2011. Believe it or not, it was her very first visit to Ireland. She had never been here before. And then Benjamin Franklin was here in 1771. How about that? Queen Victoria was here 5 times in 1849, 1853, 1861, and 1900. Nelson Mandela was here in 1995, and Pope Francis was here, I think it was about 5 years ago. He would have been the last well-known dignitary, if you like, to have come here. But it really is spectacular inside. As I say, there's 64 beautiful rooms. He's outside showing photos from inside the chat. Welcome, Paddy, Rachel, Deborah, Carol. Wow, they said wow. So some people are liking these photos. That's great, fantastic. Georgian architecture is so pretty, yeah. Now, the Georgian period in Ireland, here's a tour, look. I better not disturb them. But the Georgian period here in Ireland dated back for, obviously, the Georgian period in Britain and Ireland was from 1712 right up until 1830. So an awful lot of the buildings here within Dublin city and so forth are Georgian buildings. And you've got 5 Georgian squares as well. Thanks so much, Paddy. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, you got 5 different Georgian squares within Dublin city as well. And they're all well-to-do areas that would have been former residents of the very, very wealthy, if you like, the Georgian squares. Now, as I say, inside the beautiful state apartments here, are some of Ireland's most beautiful gallery rooms with impeccable furniture and paintings, absolutely gorgeous paintings and so forth. Also, an awful lot, huge amount of historical events have taken place here, right here at this very spot where the state apartments are. I'll tell you a little bit about them now. Thank you, Audrey. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. No, we're not allowed to go inside. That's why I'm showing you the pictures outside. Anyway, it's not good. The signal's not good anyway, so pointless going in there. But the state apartments, as I mentioned to you, is where the Viceroy... the Dublin Castle here, as I said, was established in 1204 by King John the First, and it was then run by a Lord Lieutenant or a Viceroy. So this would have been the state apartments where the Viceroy, Lord Lieutenant, the representative of the King or the Queen, whoever it was at the time, would have lived. And the venue, it's also the venue for Ireland's presidency of the European Union 2005. The presentation, inauguration, prestigious functions, and also self and guided tours today. Now, some of the luxurious rooms in here will include the grand staircase. I showed you some of these, the state corridor, the state apartment galleries, the Apollo room, the portrait gallery room, the Gothic room, the James Connolly room, and the St. Patrick's Hall, to mention just a few. I'm going to show you the James Connolly room, because James Connolly is a very historical figure in Irish history. He was one of the leaders of the 1916 Easter Rising, but he got shot during that rising, and after he was captured, do I have one of him? I thought I did. Where is it? It's missing. No, there it is. There's his bed right there. So after the rising, he was brought here, not to a hospital. He was looked after for a bit, but 2 weeks later, he was executed for his role in the 1916 Easter. No, 1916. 1916. That's when the Easter Rising took place. So, to just tell you, obviously, a lot of activities have taken place here and events in this part of Dublin Castle. One of them was the first fighting, or first battle of the 1916 Easter Rising. The 1916 Easter Rising took place on Easter Monday, 1916. And the very first action, as I say, took place right here on this gate that you see in front of you, where the guard on the gate was the first casualty to be killed in that war. Now, it was a 6-day war. Obviously, the Irish contingent that were made up of volunteer armies. One of them armies was the Irish Citizen Army, and they were outnumbered, outmanned and outgunned. And after 6 days, the Irish contingent had to surrender to the British and so forth. But as I say, the first casualty was right from this gate right here, when the rebel soldiers of the Irish Citizen Army came up to this gate and so forth, tried to force their way through, and shot the guard on the gate. Now, with all the commotion, there was soldiers inside. The British soldiers were inside Dublin Castle. They heard the commotion. They came out. So the Irish Citizen Army retreated to the City Hall building and made their way to the roof on the City Hall. Now, the leader of this contingent of the 1916 Easter Rising was a guy by the name of Sean Connolly, and he was shot on the roof of the City Hall, becoming the second casualty of the 1916 Easter Rising. So there's a little story, folks. The very first happening. Now, all over Dublin, the 1916 Easter Rising, although it only lasted 6 days, it took place all over Dublin. A big part of the fighting would have been in St. Stephen's Green Park and the Royal College of Surgeons building and so forth. So lots of different areas the 1916 Easter Rising would have happened. As I say, like every war we had with the British, we lost each one. We were always outnumbered, outmanned, but we always gave up a good fight. So now, probably the most significant event to ever happen here in the courtyard of the state apartments was in 1922. And in 1922 is when Ireland got its independence from Britain. Now, the treaty was signed by a man by the name of Michael Collins in the 6th of December, 1921. But the handing over ceremony didn't take place till, as I say, 16th of January, 1922. And it took place right here. Now, the British had occupied and ruled Ireland for over 700 years, from 1204 right through to 1922. As I say, the 16th of January, 1922. So we got our independence. So it was a huge celebration here for the handing over ceremony. where the keys of Dublin Castle were to be handed over to the leader of the country at the time, Michael Collins, by the last Viceroy or Lord Lieutenant of Britain. His name was Lord Fitzalan. Now, because of the commotion in the streets and so forth, where people lined the street and were high-fiving Collins on his way up here, so Collins happened to be 7 minutes late for the celebration. And with that, the last of the Lord Lieutenants, the last of the Viceroys, whatever you like to call him, Lord Fitzalan, was furious that Collins was late. And he said to Collins, "How dare you, Collins, be late for this celebration or for this handing over ceremony, for this ceremony?" In fact, he looks at his watch and he says, "In fact, you're 7 minutes late." With that, Collins replied, "You can have your 7 minutes. We've been waiting 700 years. Hope you like that one, folks. Is there an Independence Day celebration? There isn't. We don't celebrate it every year, no. We don't. There was celebrations last year because of the anniversary, the 100-year anniversary. But no, there's not. It's not like America where they have it on the 4th of July each year. And Canada Day, what's it, the 1st of July, is it? No, we don't have it. Don't celebrate Independence Day here. We don't have an Independence Day. July 1st, yeah, Colleen, for Canada. And then United States, July the 4th. No, we don't do it here. Can you believe it? Absolute disgrace. Maybe I should put a word into the government and say, why don't we not have an Independence Day? It'd be like another day off, another holiday. How odd, yeah, Shelley, yeah, how odd. So as I say, Michael Collins, the leader of the newly formed provisional government, and we waited 718 years. Now, also, a huge event that took place right here at this particular spot was the referendum on same-sex marriage. Took place here on the 22nd of May in 2015. Now, the results of this referendum were announced at the door right here of the state apartments. This place was just packed, crowded with thousands of people. As many people as they could fit into it. Even people on each other's shoulders and so forth. It was so packed. And they came out on the 22nd of May 2015. They read out the announcement for the referendum of same-sex marriage, and it was passed by 62% of the vote. And Ireland became the first country in the world, folks, in the world, to legalise gay marriage, same-sex marriage. Now, there is places, obviously, like states in the United States, like I think California passed it before Ireland ever did. But that's a state, not a whole country. First country in the world, which is quite extraordinary. We were in Ireland in May 2015. You were, Barbara, prior to the vote. Okay, very, very good. So now, if this vote had been done 20 years previous, it would no way would it ever have passed, because this was such a Catholic country, and the church basically ran this country for, I'll tell you, for centuries. They ran this country where the state had to go through, and since Ireland's independence in 1922, even in that period, we had to go through the state, or the Irish Parliament had to go through the Catholic Church before they could approve for any laws and all that kind of stuff. And they would never have passed same-sex marriage. But then again, with all the scandal of the sexual abuse and physical abuse by the clergy and by the Catholic hierarchies, if you like, priests and nuns and so forth, how they treated people here in this country was just absolutely horrific. And they don't have any power anymore. In fact, nobody listens to them. Very few people do. This would have been a country where everybody used to go to Mass. All the Catholics, good Catholics, they'd all go to Mass every Sunday. There'd be 7 services on a Sunday for Mass, because there were so many people devoted to the church and devoted to their religion. Today, you might find 1 service on a Sunday at Mass, and they can only afford to have 1 because they wouldn't be full, and there wouldn't be enough people to have 2 services. So they lost their power, and that's another reason why they passed same-sex marriage here Yeah, more than ready for a change, says Lisa. That is correct. No doubt about it. Now, also, there's been many, many movies have been made around here and other parts of the castle, including Michael Collins. So a great movie called Michael Collins. I just told you about Michael Collins right there. There's a big story about him. As I say, he was the man that was at the head of the country after he signed the treaty in 1921 and the handover ceremony in 1922. And a movie is made about Michael Collins, starring Liam Neeson. If you have never watched it, you should look it up somewhere. It might be on, I think it might be on Netflix. I'm not sure. So, is there ingrained anti-Semitism because of the previous influence of the church? No, I wouldn't say there's anti-Semitism here. There's not anti anything here in this country. We're very, what would you say, very, I don't know what the word I should use here. Accepting country, I would say. On the whole, you know? Very accepting. Great movie. So Lisa must have seen the movie. Excellent movie, says Helen. Helen's seen it. Inclusive. There you go, Lisa. Thank you very much. I was looking for a word. And then parts of the absolutely amazing movie, Braveheart. Unbeknownst to probably a lot of people, Braveheart, even though it was about Scotland and the Scottish struggle, most of Braveheart was filmed right here in Ireland, in County Wicklow, and parts and scenes were made right here at Dublin Castle as well, were filmed right here in Dublin Castle. The Tudors, which is a series of Henry VIII, about Henry VIII and his family, and a BBC series that was filmed here, a lot of it. Sherlock Holmes, P.S. I Love You, Alfred Nobbs starring Glenn Close. I mean, there's just amazing amount of movies. I'm only mentioning a few. There is a lot more. So this is a look at the state apartments in 1850. So, as I say, this would be St. Patrick's Hall. They would have cleared the tables from the dinner, and then it would have been a ballroom, if you like. Thank you, Lisa. Very kind of you. A Lord Mayor of Dublin was Jewish. Yes, that's a great story. Okay, I'll tell you about that story if you wish. So, the first Lord Mayor of Dublin, his name was Bob Briscoe, Robert Briscoe of the Fianna Fáil party. And he was also in 1962. Now, the Lord Mayor only serves a one-year term. So in 1962, he became Lord Mayor again. And then in 1988, which was Dublin's millennium, where Dublin became 1,000 years old, his son, Ben Briscoe, became the Lord Mayor of Dublin, two Jewish mayors. And if you want to know anything else, a little more about Jewish history, a man by the name of Chaim Herzog. He was born in Belfast in 1918. When he was an infant, not even a year old, he moved to an area here called Portobello in Dublin with his father, who became the first Dublin rabbi. And he left when he was 18 years old to go to what was then maybe Palestine or whatever. And in 1948, when the Jewish state opened up, he moved there with his father and so forth. And in 1983, he became the president of Israel until 1993. Now, in 1985, whilst president of Israel, he came back to Portobello, which is just up the street from here, literally less than a mile from here. He came back to the area and he opened up the Jewish Museum of Dublin in 1985. Still going strong today. So there's just a little bit of Jewish history here in Dublin. Have a look at this. This is an absolutely magnificent church, as you can see here, folks. It really is beautiful. And this is the Chapel Royal. And this church was built in 1907. It was built by the Viceroy or the Lord Lieutenant, as I say, the representative of the King or the Queen. And it is a powerful building. It's beautiful. Now, this was actually designed by the great, I'm trying to think of his first name. Johnson was his last name. What was his first name again? Now, Francis Johnson was his name. Absolutely amazing architect. And he designed some of the amazing buildings in Dublin, including the GPO, which was built in 1818. And it is today the longest still standing post office in the world. Now, there might be other post offices across the world that were older, but they're no longer in existence at the same location. So the GPO, the General Post Office in O'Connell Street in Dublin, been there since 1818 and is the oldest continuously used post office in the world. Designed by the same man that designed this beautiful church, the Chapel Royal, in 1807. As I say, he was the most prominent architect working in Ireland in the 19th century. And the church has the name of every Lord Lieutenant. As I said, remember the representative of the King and the Queen was the Lord Lieutenant. And the name of all the Lord Lieutenants from 1590 to 1922 and with their crests are along the walls of the chapel right here. Now, probably the most famous of the Lord Lieutenants was William Wentworth Fitzwilliam. And there are many streets named after him and his family. Now, the Fitzwilliam family would have had probably about 8 or 9 different viceroys or Lord Lieutenants of Ireland during the years and so forth. There were also developers as well. And lots of streets are named after. Fitzwilliam Street, Fitzwilliam Square. One of the Georgian squares of Dublin is named after him. And Fitzwilliam Place. I mean, there's just loads of Fitzwilliam names and so forth named after. Fitzwilliam Club. I mean, there's just so many. Chapel Royal of Dublin Castle. That's right, Barbara. Yes, indeed. Now, I want to also mention to you that we also had Bram Stoker. Unfortunately, my timing's bad because these people are looking. I want to show you this plaque, but they're looking at it. But Bram Stoker used to work right here at Dublin Castle in what was then the tax office. Now, there is still a tax office here, but most of it has moved to a different location. But he worked here from 1866 to 1878. If I can zoom in here from these ladies. My time was bad. There's a look at Bram Stoker right there. As I say, he worked right here from 1866 to 1878. And of course, he published Dracula in 1897. And Dracula means bad blood, if anybody doesn't know. So there you go. Now, straight over here, you're having a look at the Printworks. This is the Printworks. And this is a Printworks event and exhibition centre. This is the newest venue in Dublin Castle. It opened for Ireland hosting of the European presidency. And the Printworks also exhibit old photographs and print of events that have happened in Dublin through the centuries. So it's really nice. They are the OECD conference, the Organisation of Economic and Cooperative Development here, and which is a 38 members countries who discussed the development of economic and social policy. That was just last year. It was founded in 1961, the Printworks here. But 1961 would make it a very, very young building for Dublin Castle. Now, this is the Record Tower. I'm going to wait till I go around to the Dublin Gardens because I got a great story to tell you about this Record Tower. It also was a wardrobe tower, prison tower, if you like. So it had different names to it. Record Tower, Round Tower, Prison Tower, Wardrobe Tower. It's a great story. This is the oldest building on the site, and it dates back to 1210. As I say, Dublin Castle was established first in 1204. So the longest still standing building is the Prison Tower, the Round Tower, Wardrobe Tower. As this guy's giving a tour. You want to listen to him? No, or would you rather listen to me? Thank you, Barbara. What's Barbara saying? Chapel Royal of Dublin Castle, yeah. Now, there's a series of carved heads. Thank you, B. You, of course, says Carl. Thank you, Lisa says you. So, there's a series of carved heads throughout the chapel here. And this one right here on the left, you'll see, this is Brian Boru, the High King of Ireland. If you were on my tour yesterday, you would have heard all about the Battle of Clontarf and Brian Boru. And he won that battle, the Battle of Clontarf, against the Vikings with his Irish armies. So you got a series of carved heads, and here is St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, which we celebrated just last Friday. And you'll see photos of St. Patrick all over the place. But this really is a nice illustration of him right there. So, cool. Let's move on. Now, where I'm going to show you next, where I'm going to bring you is to the Dublin Gardens here in Dublin Castle. And the Dublin Gardens is where Dublin gets its name. So, Patron saint. What does a patron saint means? I guess in England, I think it's St. George. In Scotland, it's St. Andrew. In Ireland, it's St. Patrick. So the patron saint, which means they're the saint that everybody celebrates. The most celebrated saint in Ireland, St. Patrick. So that's what a patron saint is, the most celebrated. Now, if anybody else can explain that a little bit better, I'd much appreciate it. Wales is St. David. Poppy, I forgot about that. And Wales is St. David. That is correct. Named after me, of course. Yeah. Thank you. St. David in Wales was named after me. Yeah. I was reincarnated, you see. Now, anyway, let's go and we'll show you the Dublin Gardens. Absolutely beautiful sight. And we're going to go back here in a minute, but I want to show you, because the gardens here, there's 4 memorial gardens. So we show you the whole lot. Actually, 3 memorial gardens and then the main garden, the Dublin Gardens. But I want to show you this lovely garden right here. And this garden is to commemorate this wonderful, wonderful lady. Her name is Veronica Guerin. And Veronica Guerin was an investigative reporter in the late 70s, 80s, and the 90s. And she was investigating a drug gang. And they were the most notorious drug gang Ireland's ever known. And she was writing about them. And she was confronting them and would go knocking on the door of their homes and everything else, trying to get information out of them and so forth. She was extremely brave. She did her job very, very well. But she exposed these drug dealers. She exposed them and named them, shamed them in the newspapers. She was like an investigative reporter, but independent, worked for a lot of different Irish newspapers and so forth. And because of this, they'd already threatened that they would kill her, and they eventually did in 1996. They shot her dead at the Nice dual carriageway at the traffic lights when the light was red. They got off a motorbike and shot her in the head. And obviously she was killed. But what a great martyr. Now, they made 2 movies about her. One is Veronica Guerin, starring Kate Blanchett, the great Australian actress, playing the lead role of Veronica Guerin. Another one is When the Sky Falls, with Joan Allen, an American actress. She was absolutely amazing person, a wonderful, wonderful investigative reporter, and extremely brave. So she put her life on the line for justice, if you like. And this drug gang, they were all sent to prison for the most part, most of them. And they were broken up, and they were basically disbanded and never had any power. And they weren't a drug gang anymore for the most part. But then again, obviously, like most other countries, other people will pop up and take over as regards the drug dealers. There you go. Thanks, Jennifer, for that. Thank you. I was trying to explain it in my best way possible. But sometimes it's not good to BS. Just tell straight out, I don't know what it means, instead of guessing. The Dublin Gardens right here, folks. If you want to take a nice postcard photograph of that, this will be ample time to do that. Let's zoom in. So this is the place where Dublin gets its name. Now, I'm going to move in here because this is another memorial garden. This is the Garda Memorial Garden right here. Now, who are the Garda? Garda is the Irish police, keepers of the peace. Garda Síochána, keepers of the peace. And you'll see throughout the garden, they'll have a list of all those that lost their lives in the line of duty as police officers here in the Dublin Gardens. I don't want to talk to this fella. He's talking to some people. He's not a tour guide at all, but he just comes around all the time, talking to everybody. And he interrupted me big time the last time. I don't mind for a while, but I couldn't get out. I couldn't get away from him. Anyway, so all these guys right here lost their lives. Now, there was only, I shouldn't say only, but 88 people since the inception of our independence in 1922. So 88 were killed in the line of duty, and this is their badge number beside their names and so forth. So, as I say, the police force here in Ireland, the Gardaí Síochána, as I say, is the proper word. Gardaí Síochána, the keepers of the peace. Now, do you want to hear a story? Anybody want to hear a story? Because I'm going to tell you a story, folks. Alrighty. So, this right here is the Dublin Gardens, and this is where Dublin gets its name. So, it's at this very spot right here where there was a harbour. And this harbour was here from the year 800 up until maybe the year 900. Anyway, it is the harbour where the Vikings moored their boats when they were here first in Ireland. They moored their longboats, if you like, right here in what was a harbour here. Now, the body of water here was where two rivers met. The River Liffey, which now runs through the centre of the city of Dublin today, probably about 500 metres away from where I'm standing right now. And underneath this part of the city today runs the River Poddle, but it used to run over the city at one time. And this is where, as I say, the Vikings moored their boats. Now, the body of water here was extremely dark. In fact, it was black. It was so dark, it was like black. Now, the Irish word for black is dove, D-U-B-H. And as I say, it was a pool of water because it wouldn't have been that big of a harbour. Linn is the Irish word for pool. Dove Linn, which was then shortened to Dublin. So actually, Dublin means black pool. And of course, there's a black pool in England. So if you wanted to translate Dublin or Dublin, it means black pool or dark pool. So I hope you like that story. Thank you very much. Now you'll see there in the distance, that's the old coach house. It's where they kept the horses of the Lord Lieutenant and his visitors' horses as well, obviously. Today it's an exhibition centre. Really is a beautiful, spectacular building. I love that story, says Jane. Thank you. Love it too. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. Now, we're not finished with stories. I'm going to tell you another story. So, I'm trying to get a good angle to show you. Okay, you see the building? Remember I was telling you about the round tower? Well, there's the round tower, if you like, prison tower, wardrobe tower. But anyway, we're going to talk about it when it was a prison tower. So, this is the story, folks. I hope you're excited by hearing this story. So, in the year 1583, there was two men that were captured and sent to prison here in this prison tower. Now, this prison tower, no one had ever escaped from it before. And it was highly unlikely that anybody would have a chance to ever escape from it. But two men were imprisoned here. And in January 1583, they escaped. Them two men were Red Hugh O'Donnell, the son of a Gaelic lord from County Donegal, and Art O'Neill, the son of a Gaelic lord from County Tyrone. They were imprisoned here for their activities against the British Crown. An inescapable prison, but somehow, in the depths of winter, January 1583, these men climbed from the top of the tower and down into the basement and out through a drain and swam their way to safety along the River Poddle, as I said, that runs through this part of the city today. They escaped. Now, I say there was freezing conditions. The water would have been extremely cold. So poor old Art O'Neill, he perished from, obviously, the conditions and so forth. But Red Hugh O'Donnell survived, only losing 2 toes through frostbite. And he went on to be a big thorn in the side of the British Empire, because he staged what was known as the 9-Year War, and he incorporated, or hired, if you like, the Spanish Armada to help him fight the British. The big battle that they staged was the Battle of Kinsale in 1691. And as I say, we lost every battle, but anyway, he was a great warrior, this fella, Red Hugh O'Donnell, because he would be right up in the front of the battles. He wasn't a guy that's, even though he's a leader, he wasn't standing in the background. No, he was right on the front lines. He was a great warrior. And never once was he even injured through all of his battles. And how he came to his end was in 1607. He was in Spain, and he was poisoned by a British spy. And that was the end of poor old Red Hugh O'Donnell. But I'd say a real thorn in the side of the British Empire as he staged a 9-year war against the British and had alongside him fighting the Spanish Armada. So I hope you like that story, folks. Now, this is the third memorial garden right here. And this garden is memorializes the Special Olympics that took place here in Ireland in 2003. Now, it was the only time that the Special Olympics were held outside of North America, outside of the US. Was right here in Dublin in Croke Park Stadium, probably about 4 miles from here, less than that, 2 miles from here. And is Ireland's largest stadium. It's the National Stadium of Ireland. It's an 83,000 seat stadium. Now, along the wall here, you have the names of all 30,000 volunteers and participants of the Special Olympics that took place here in 2003. So all the names, and there's tons of plaques you can see. Obviously, there'll have to be for 30,000 names. And now the Special Olympics was set up by Eunice Kennedy, one of John F. Kennedy's sisters, Eunice Shriver Kennedy. So she would have been the mother of Maria Shriver and the sister of John F. Kennedy. She founded the Special Olympics. So I guess our son-in-law at one time would have been Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. So there you go. And you got the Olympic flame right there. Great story. Thank you very much. Thank you, Donna from Philly. Appreciate it. Thank you. Now, I'm going to leave you with this story right here. And it's of this museum. This is a library museum called the Chester Beatty Library Museum. This won European Museum of the Year in 2002. So it was voted the best museum in Europe. Now, Chester Beatty. So we have another story here, folks. So Chester Beatty was a mining magnate, originally from New York City, educated at New York University. And he went, when he graduated, he studied mining in college. And when he graduated from New York University, he made his way to the copper mines in Colorado. And after several years, 4 or 5 years, he started working his way up and he became supervisor of one of the mines and so forth. And he hit the jackpot while he found tons and tons of copper in the copper mines there. And so he amassed a fortune through that. And then what he did was he relocated to London. And whilst in London, he would go around the world, open up mines all over Asia, all over Russia and places like that. The Middle East, he'd open up mines. He'd open up mines everywhere, all over Europe as well. But his base was in London at that time. And thank you, Jen. His base was in London at that time. Now, he became, on his journeys of opening up these mines all across the world, he became the world's biggest collector. And what would he collect? Everything. Everything and anything. Secret traditions, sacred traditions, miniature books, rare books, miniature paintings, Qurans, Bibles, you name it, all kinds of different stuff. Lots of Egyptian and Roman articles or artifacts and all that kind of stuff. Just you name it, he collected. And he housed them in a museum in London until they ran out of room for him. They had no more room in the museum in London for him. Now, his son happened to be living here in Ireland, and his son encouraged him to come to Ireland as he spoke to the Irish state, and the Irish state allowed him to bring his collections here. And he was at a different location than this place called Shrewsbury Road in Ballsbridge in Dublin. That's where the museum was. And it then later came here, as I say, to this location. And he became, in 1950, he became an honorary citizen, the second only honorary citizen of Ireland. And in 1958, when he died, he was given a state funeral. And he's buried out in Glasnevin Cemetery in the north side of Dublin, the largest cemetery in Ireland with 1.7 million people. And he willed all of all of his collections to the Irish state. So a wonderful man, very generous to the Irish people, and that's why they made him an honorary citizen and gave him a state funeral. As I say, he willed this. What's beautiful about this is there's a garden up here in the top as well. So you got a garden on the top where you can look over the beautiful skyline of Dublin as well, looking down on the wonderful Dublin gardens as well. And there is a beautiful sight, if I don't say myself, folks. Thank you, Edith, of the Round Tower, alongside the Chapel Royal and the state apartments beside it. That is a nice postcard photograph. You'll see. Now it's a shame that crane has to be in the way in the back. It would make it a much nicer postcard if that wasn't there. Thank you, Caroline. So, folks, that's about all I got for you. Thank you, Kay, today. So, I hope you enjoyed the tour. Let me see. What day is it today? Friday. This Friday, I'm doing a tour in Ballsbridge. Now, Ballsbridge is a beautiful neighbourhood of Dublin. It's a real leafy neighbourhood, and it is the highest valued real estate in all of Ireland. It's the number one place to live, the number one postal address to live in all of Ireland, as the homes there reach huge amounts as regards, and it's the wealthiest place in all of Ireland, and the homes are the richest homes in all of Ireland. It's also full of amazing embassies as well. So we're going to visit a couple of embassies while we're there. We're going to visit the RDS, Royal Dublin Society. Well, we're going to talk about it from the outside. We're going to visit a beautiful park called Herbert Park. We're also going to move around Clyde Road and Shelbourne Road, and then on to Lansdowne Road, where the Aviva Stadium is, Ireland's rugby and soccer stadium. Thank you, Paddy. Thanks very much, folks. Poppy's at the button. Thank you so much, Poppy. Poppy's at the button in the link there for my Ballsbridge tour. We had a girl on here the other day, and she told me she lived for 7 years in Ballsbridge, but I don't think she's on today. So I hope she gets the chance to see that. She lives back in Canada or the States, where she lives. But I'm sure she'd like to see the Ballsbridge tour. Thank you, Gloria. Look, thanks very much, folks, for all the wonderful contributions and tips and so forth. Thanks very much for the lovely comments that you enjoyed the tour. I'd really, really appreciate it, folks, if you could leave a nice review. If you're looking to find where reviews are, you should get an email saying that you're on this tour, and I give you a list of my upcoming tours in that email. At the very bottom of that email, it says leave a review, and that review is for this tour. So I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a nice review, and that will encourage more people to come on this tour the next time that it comes about, because, you know, if people see a well reviewed tour, they're more inclined to come on to it the next time. Thanks, Edith. Appreciate it. Thank you, Rachel from York. Thank you so much. Great tour. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Donna. Carol, thank you so much. Gloria, thank you. Thanks, Paddy. Thank you, Kay, for the tip. Edith, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, folks. So that's about all I got for you today, folks. I'd say Friday's my next tour, but then I won't have another one till next Wednesday. But I think next Wednesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday. I think I'm doing 4 in a row. So thanks so much, folks. Follow my channel. And we'll see you all again soon. Slán litagus go raibh míle maith agat. Sláinte. Thank you, folks. Have a great day. Take care, folks. Thank you.